Hello and welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. We may be coming into the back burners of a heat wave, but if there's someone who is still feeling the heat, it's Eric Ten Haag at Man United after his team were given a 4-0 mauling at the hands of Brentford, who many tipped to actually go down. So this begs the question for all of us here. What is going on at Old Trafford? We still got a transfer window still to go, and they're linked with just about anybody, but nobody seems to be coming through that door, not even Rabiot and his mother. So, we want to ask this: what are Man United gonna do? Let's get into it. Start the intro.
Here we go.
Hello, and good afternoon, viewer or listener, whatever one you are. We are here going to be talking about Man United today after they were absolutely thumped at Brentford, and we mean thumped. Okay, it was an absolutely abysmal performance that has just carried on the start of a very terrible season. In fact, it's been a very terrible season for quite a long time for Man United. So I think we just need to jump straight into it. Jamie, what's going on at your old friends?
They aren't most certainly aren't old friends. They are getting thumped and beaten wherever they go. Like when I was coming home from the Bournemouth game, I'm fairly happy. It's on the radio. I'm thinking, oh, they'll probably win. Doesn't really matter. We're still above them. We still will be above them. Then you hear number one going. You're like, oh, that's funny. That's good. Too early, but that's still funny. Number two, all right, this is brilliant. They might actually lose. Three and then four. Four in 35 minutes, though. It's sort of got beyond the point where you're like, this is so bad. And like, I know we sort of say United's version of being bad isn't quite what like a lot of the other teams have actually experienced, but 4-0 in 35 minutes is not what you expect for any team. I love it. Can't wait for it to continue. Liverpool play United next. They may not have won their first two games, but I reckon they could go for more than four. Really looking at the sort of game though. So I did mention it, Ten Hag. Why are you starting McTominay and Fred? Because clearly no one's enjoyed that for the past few seasons. So he did switch it up. He got rid of McTominay and then going and beat 4-0. So maybe that McTominay was stopping the 4-0 was happening. But it's just it's so puzzling of how it can happen. Obviously, the first goal, massive, massive error from De Gea. Is he past it now? I think he saved them. He has saved them a lot in previous years, but maybe it's time for him to go. And maybe they should have just said, look, Henderson, here's your chance. We're starting afresh, a new manager. It's more like kind of what Pep did to Joe Hart when he came in. I'm going to make a bold decision. This is what happens, done, kind of thing. But Ten Hag hasn't seemed to done anything. I don't see anything that he's put his foot on. He's kind of just turned up and gone, carry on as normal, it's fine. When obviously it's not fine. You've got Ronaldo. Ronaldo doesn't care. Sorry, he cares when he's playing the game, but you saw after the game, he just walked off. All the other United players went over to the fans, getting abuse. Ronaldo was like, sod this, I'm going down the tunnel. It's just all like if you're a United fan, you don't know what to do at the moment because there's nothing you can really do that sort of can cheer you up about United. There's not a positive I could think of apart from that they drew the second half against Brentford. And they kept a clean sheet in the second half, maybe. But really you're clutching at straws. In terms of it's what I just can't get over is the transfers they've made, the lack of really. They've been crying out for a centre defensive midfielder. They've said it for at least 2 or 3 seasons. So they don't go and sign one. They sign an attacking midfielder for free, obviously in Ericsson. They signed a left back who from Feyenoord. He's probably not going to set the world alight, but he's someone. And then you got Martinez. To be fair, I think he's getting a lot of stick just based on purely his height, when technically I don't think he's actually done anything wrong in terms of winning headers. But he's not what they needed. Unless they're going to go and play him CDM, that's just not what they need. And it just baffles me. And then you see, who they're linked with today? Pulisic. It's still not a CDM. That's what they need. Like a CDM, and then they can start to, rebuild in certain positions, get the build-up play properly. If you look at, I know it was against Bournemouth, but City against Bournemouth, and to be fair, actually against West Ham as well. Rodri winning the ball back. He didn't let West Ham. He didn't let Bournemouth attack. That's what United need. They need protection. Maguire's form is just, I don't think his confidence could be lower. And it's sort of, if you've got no protection of him, it's not going to get any better. What about you two then? Because I think I've ranted on for a while. George, any?
I mean, it's hard to actually put into words, and it's almost to the point where I sympathise a bit now. It's gone. Sympathise a bit with United. Like it must be so draining and so depressing watching them. And even watching back the highlights on Match of the Day, I genuinely was genuinely speechless. Like I just can't comprehend what some of the on some of the goals, what they were doing. So it's hard to explain without a visually seeing it. But they were just they weren't moving. So one of the defenders would get the ball from De Gea and then just kind of stand on the ball, not move. And the defenders just wouldn't move to even be open for a pass. And then the goal, where I think it was Eriksen loses the ball. You're just watching it and you genuinely would not see defending that bad on an under-9s game on a Saturday. Genuinely, I just can't comprehend what is going on. It must be even more frustrating for a United fan sitting there trying to digest that and comprehend it. I've been a bit defensive of Maguire, and I feel like he's a bit of a scapegoat. And it's hard when literally every touch he makes is going to be a meme or going to be a video. I get that there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, right? But I don't want to criticize Martinez just because he's shorter than everyone. That's harsh, but he doesn't look like that rugged, old school centre forward that's really going to help drive United forward. Admittedly, Varane was that guy, but maybe hasn't worked out. But I honestly, I don't know where to start. Unless Ten Haag maybe should just look at it like we're Man United, we're starting afresh, and just kind of drop a load of players genuinely and just put youth players in. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know he'd be criticised for it, right? But just give the whole team a bit of a complete freshen up, and you'll probably see. I remember, I think it was in the United Liverpool game last season when they brought that the young kid on, who, although he got booked or whatever, for that 10 minutes he was on, he ran and he ran and he ran. And it just showed a little bit of that fight that, youth players who are at Man United thinking they might be the next big thing, if they play on that pitch, they are going to give it. They are going to fight for the manager. They're not on inflated salaries. They've not got egos. They've not got 50 million, social media subscribers. They will fight for that shirt and that manager. And I genuinely think that's the only kind of solution short term, just to freshen things up, change morale, is bringing a load of youth players. And also on that note, obviously, again, maybe the board will have an issue. But if you go and lose to Liverpool 2-3-0 with youth players, that's okay. You expect that. Whereas when you're losing 4-0 to Brentford, I don't think you'd lose 4-0 with a youth team. It's just, I just can't get my head around it. And, I don't know what the solution is, because who are they linked with? They lose the opening fixture, and who are they linked with? Marco Arnautovic. He's 33. What? What is going on? I don't know where to start. And sorry, Reece, I'll let you speak in a minute. But the obviously we've seen the news today about the Glazers maybe selling a minority share. You can blame the owners, and obviously we saw the Redknapp Neville debate. You can blame the owners, but the owners are spending money. The owners are putting their hands in their pockets. So you can't just keep going Glazer out, Glazer out. new owners might come in and spend less money. You've got to fix the core of the issue. And right now, I really don't know. I despair United. Ran over for now. Sorry, Reese.
No need to apologise, man. It's quite interesting to hear actually. But I think you're right. Like, I think the important thing for United at the moment is what excuses are you going to have left? Blame the Glazers. They spend money, great. You still blame them. Get rid of Pogba. He's causing all the problems. Get rid of him. They're still putting in the same performances. It's a real strange situation because everyone seems to be waiting for this United reaction every game. After every defeat, it's, give them next game. We saw it under Solskjaer. We see it under Rangnick. We now see it under Ten Hag. But they've not responded. Let's not forget how good Brentford were on Saturday. But if we look at the goals United conceded, yes, the fourth goal was superb, but I look at where Ben Mee bundled it in. What are they doing? De Gea then messes it up, for the first goal. The only goal they've scored has been through a shambolic goal themselves.
There's been an own goal, wasn't it? So that if they don't score against Liverpool, their goal of the month is the own goal.
You can't put that. You can't put that on anywhere.
It's been so poor, and and there's already rumours that if this carries on for another couple of games, Ten Hag will walk. What's this going to do? Where are you going to go back to? Yes, you could look at Pochettino, even though he's not a winner in terms of trophies. Will he put an arm around some of these players? Yes, he will. I know a lot of people are critical of Ronaldo, but he's the only winner in their team. Where isn't there another player doing the same thing? Shouting, "What's going on? This is a joke." They haven't got anybody doing it. I feel sorry for Maguire because he hasn't got the quality alongside him to help him out. He's having to do all the work. If you look at some of the tackles he did make in that game, they were pretty good. Move Martinez to right back. If you need to, he'll probably do all right there. But I'm just looking around the team at the moment, I'm thinking, where's the flair? Where's this flair that they need? I don't see somebody that's going to get the ball from the scruff of it. I don't see someone that's going to whack a ball in from 30 yards or is going to go lunging in and a tackle and win the ball straight away. Rabiot's not that sort of player. He's more of a ball player. And he doesn't look like he's coming over the line now. Maybe, like what you said, Jordan, dip into the academy a bit. They've got some great players there. Charlie McNeil is somebody I think who's shown a lot of promise, who is actually a former City Academy player, if you're aware there, Jamie.
Yeah, I know him. He's apparently scored a ton of goals, and he's a United fan, so that's why he's gone to United. But I don't think he'll be the answer. They've got to sort it out defensively.
No, you're right. I think you could bleed in some of the hungry players. You've got Charlie Savage, son of Robbie as well, who looks a good player. You could bleed a couple of them in there, but there's nobody there at the moment. There's no structure to the team. I think with not with the rumours, but now confirmed that United are looking to sell a minority stake to bring in some investment. But who are you going to put it on? You've been linked with Arnautovic, you've been linked with Rabiot. You're not getting them players over the line. Who are you going to look for? At least Arnautovic would have had a bit of bite. He wouldn't have been afraid. But we have to ask, if there were players they should be signing, who do you think they should be looking for? We've just a couple of weeks to go in the transfer window, okay? Jordan, name one or two players you think that would be a good fit for United.
So I do agree with Jamie about centre mid. You look at I guess United's sort of rivals, City. You mentioned Rodri, been phenomenal for the last 2 years, maybe more. Chelsea, Kante, Jorginho, Liverpool, Thiago, Henderson, and then you've got McTominay and Fred. It just doesn't match up. Even at, well, I was going to say Arsenal, Xhaka, but we know what he's done. But even that kind of player,
Arte would be that player for him.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I think honestly, I don't have a surefire one-man signing, and I think just to touch on your point, Reece, about Pogba, I think that's a really good point. Pogba has been the biggest scapegoat for United's issues for as long as he's been there, and it's absolute clear evidence now that it's not just one bad apple. It is a serious issue somewhere in that club. I'm trying to think now again. Obviously, the only one that comes to mind in terms of who can dictate play a bit that comes to mind, obviously because I'm a Chelsea fan, is a Jorginho. I don't see McTominay and Fred they're not the players who can get the ball, slow the game down, speed up the game when they want to, and dictate the play. I think, again, obviously, it's on the spot, but Jorginho instantly comes to my mind in terms of a player who can just control and dictate a midfield. Jamie, I'll let you have a go just while I'm thinking of more.
I don't think Jorginho would be right for them, just because I think they need someone who's going to actually sort of will put in more tackles. Jorginho's not that kind of player who will not put in that many tackles that are leading. I think one that would be, maybe he doesn't put in as, like, I know it might be a bit sort of, critical of what I've just said, but Ruben Neves at Wolves, he's someone who could come into that role. I don't know how old he is now, but it might be a short-term solution. But he's someone that, to be fair, I've seen they've been slightly linked with, and Wolves are struggling a bit with money, but he could be someone who could go in. But it's a tough one, to be perfectly honest, because if you look at their front three on paper, it was Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford. You should think that's got a lot of flair in it. I think that Reece was saying there was no flair about them. That should have flair. Then you had what behind them? Bruno and Eriksen. They should be creating chances for that front three. You should think, yeah, that's fine. Bruno's lost I don't know where he's actually gone. Who was this player that they had for 6 months that people were saying was better than De Bruyne?
They've got less pens. That's the issue. They've got less penalties.
Yeah, he hasn't got
Let's be
penalties,
fair.
but he was getting that sort of shout-outs, but it's funny just to see how they can drop so much. And the solution isn't one player. They probably need another 3 or 4, and just it's kind of what Arteta's had to do at Arsenal. Get rid of a few players who are causing problems. I know people don't agree with it, and I've seen, especially after the sort of All or Nothing documentaries coming out for Arsenal. But Aubameyang was not being the right attitude. Got rid of him. Don't care that you're club captain. He's got to go. I know if they didn't actually get him to Barcelona, there'd have been a bit more problems behind that, and then it could have caused more problems. But there's still time in the transfer window to get rid of some of these players. If he's got to go for a bit cheaper than you want, do it for the greater good, as the kind of and they've got to sign a few players. I think they just need the sort of midfield. Just put a midfielder of, I know, like Neves. I can't really think of many off the top of my head, but I'm not paid to scout people. They should have enough people there to scout, or do a Barcelona. Oh, who's Chelsea going for? Who's City going for? Who's Liverpool going for? I'll try and nick them. Although that hasn't worked out for United when they've got Sanchez, Fred. Try to think of a few others they've tried to nick off, say us.
Yeah, I think the big thing for United is they don't have to go for names. I know it's easy to go for established sort of players, but it's not necessarily been their answer. I think they need to look a bit outside the box. I think if they're going to start a centre back, I think that guy at Leipzig, Gvardiol, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a good addition. I think he's a big, tough centre back. Well, he can go and win the ball for you. He can go rough players up. Then Maguire can relax a little bit, move Martinez to the right back, and then drop Shaw for Malacia. You've got a good solid back four there. I think De Gea will be fine. I think there's no real issues there. He's going to win them 3 points a lot more time than he is going to lose it to them. I think if we're looking for a defensive midfielder, maybe a Wilfred Ndidi or there's a guy at PSV, Sangaré. I think they've been pronounced with him before, but he looks a good player. Give someone to ease the pressure off Fernandes and Eriksen so they can run around and do what they want to do. And then they can sort of fly from there. And I think if they're going to look for an out-and-out striker, are they going to keep persevering with Rashford and Martial? I don't know. But again, go for someone young if you want to. Portugal has plenty of young attacking strikers there. There's one guy I mentioned at Braga called Vitinha. I think he looks a good player, and I think he would fit maybe the way Ten Hag wants his football to be played. But there's just 3-4 options there that they could explore. And is it going to cost them 100 million? Probably not. The most expensive would probably be that centre back there. But you got to do it. And at the moment, there's no balance. And I think I think if they're going to react, they're going to have to react on Monday against Liverpool. Against Liverpool, which
is the hardest probably game to do it in.
Yeah.
but with
Yeah.
Liverpool's rocky start, United could see this as there for the taking. But if they're not going to be up for that, and they don't get 3 points from that, don't even get a point from that, don't even show up from, they're 9 points behind everyone else. Well, they're 9 points likely already, off the top. They could be 6 points off top four. They're going to have to turn that around pretty quickly. And it concerns me if they don't get anything against Liverpool is what really are they going to do? Because players are turning them down now. It's insane. It's insane when you think about what's happened to them because the squad is. I know we're not going to say that they're going to go down, but you look at that squad and you think everything's there for them to just fall apart.
They were talking about winning the title last season, start of last season. like I think that was obviously blown out of proportion, but it was still, they were saying, well, that squad could go and win the title. It's massive, like how it's fallen. But obviously, we're talking about signings and stuff. The transfer window hasn't just opened. What have they been doing? Like, what have they been doing? And then you've got with what has actually Ten Hag brought to United? Because I've not seen anything different to him and Rangnick. Really, I've not seen a single thing. And Ten Hag, they was trying to say, is one of the top 3, 4, 5 managers in the Prem.
He shouted a few times pre-season. Genuinely, like there was articles on him shouting at players.
Was it?
No,
it wasn't even in the game. It was in training.
Ridiculous.
I don't think it's all
what he's done though. I know it's not his fault, but if a manager comes in, you expect some sort of bounce. And what is there a bounce the pre-season game against Liverpool?
Yeah, they've had their bounce now.
It's a rare example where a manager comes in and doesn't get a bounce. I think he's changed aspects of the club already. He's making everybody eat together. He's not letting them go off into their own little social groups. And
his main job is on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's got to implement the style of playing. Yeah, there's no point bringing the Ajax team with you to do that. There's really no point.
They'll get battered.
But it helps having players.
But I'm not seeing,
I'm not seeing anything from him.
If he's not going to get the players in, he's going to have to adapt to the players he's got there. So that will mean changing the style of play. Will three at the back work with United? I don't know. I personally think Wan-Bissaka would be fine as a centre back.
Yeah, like everyone sort of says, like they've always said, he can defend, he can't attack. So he could do the sort of I know he's not like quick like Walker, but like in England's type, he could play the Walker position for United and just do the defensive work. It works. But it's sort of one thing I do want to say about Ten Hag and to rip into him and to quote sort of Will Smith, get his name out of your mouth, was he mentioned Pep struggled in his first year. Pep still came fourth, by the way. And in his first 10 games, we'd won 10. Some of them were Champions League and sort of cup games, but we'd won all of them. So we started well. We did get beat 4-0 to Everton, but it was, at least Everton weren't as bad as they are now. But it's more, you can't just compare yourself to what other managers have done because they've actually gone and proved it at a better level than what he's done in the past. There was some sort of, what I saw under Pep in the first season was, I can see exactly what his game plan is. I can't see it with Ten Hag. And I'm not saying he's going to be a bad manager. I know there's way more stuff. He's not the problem. There's a lot more with the problem. But on the pitch, if you can't motivate your players when you've just joined, maybe he isn't the right guy to do it. And maybe a Poch would be better to put his arm around them. I still want to disagree with what Neville said a few seasons ago. Conte would have sorted them out. Like, he may not have been there long enough for what Neville wanted, but he would have sorted them out. He would have been like, right, look at what Spurs had to do in training. Tons and tons of running. It's for the team. I don't care about individuals. It's for the team. And that's what's been lost at United completely.
Yeah.
And I think
go on.
I was going to say, I think what Conte would have done as well, he would have got rid of them bad apples. He did it into Milan. He wasn't afraid to make those decisions into Milan either. He let people like, what's his name, Icardi go, for example. Didn't matter about the goals he scored. Wasn't the right attitude. Wasn't the right player for him. You know, he's not afraid to shift players on at Spurs with Dele Alli, for example. Mourinho is likewise as well. Mourinho gets a lot of stick, but he's a very adaptable manager, and he's not afraid to get rid of the players, you know, that are causing problems. He needs
managers do it.
No, and Ten Hag should be, you know, everyone's saying, you know, move ends of the earth to keep Ronaldo. Yes, he's scoring you goals, but if he's upsetting everyone else and bringing everyone else down, get rid of him. You'll probably find that will free up people like Martial and Rashford to go, right, I can do it now. I've not got to have to pass to him.
Yeah.
I can have a shot.
I think they've had their chance as well, though. Being honest,
I think that would help, though. I do agree with that point. Rashford, Martial, Sancho. If Ronaldo left, they'd all be sitting there going, right, I've got a chance here. It will probably be 3 or 4 weeks. I could be the next main man. And I do think that would motivate quite a few players. I don't think Ronaldo is the problem, just to clarify. Just to touch on a couple of your points you've said there, Jamie, I think the Pep comparison, I just don't think it's completely fair, to be honest. Different clubs, in different states.
Yeah, definitely. True.
It's too early for me to criticise. Oh yeah. He's just scratching and clawing for any kind of, you know, reprieve. But I think the criticism of Ten Hag, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. I think it's ridiculously too early to even. I don't think Ten Hag is the reason this club has lost 2 games. Like, you can't blame him after 2 matches. I don't care what anyone says. You need to give a manager time to sign players, implement their philosophy. So the issues go way deeper than the manager, and it's clear. You know, Mourinho, Van Gaal, you know, Ragnick couldn't solve what's going on. I think Neves as well, Jamie, to your point, Neves I think could do a job. But to be honest, actually, on your points about Conte, I do agree. I think Conte would be quite a good fit for them, just in terms of he'll give you tough love, but he'll make you work and run. And if you're not doing it, he will just sack you off. And I think that's the approach Ten Hag will soon realise that he needs to have, tough love. I'm not sure the arm around the shoulder approach would work with that squad at the minute.
But they looked better under Ollie than they have since.
True.
That's the only thing. And Ollie had that approach.
Yeah. Ollie's probably sitting there somewhere laughing.
And Poch is a better manager than Solskjaer. So it's more.
Yeah.
That's where it'd be better.
Yeah.
Still not right.
It's hard. It is hard. I don't think there's one obvious answer to solving all their problems. I think Ten Hag, again, does probably need to get rid of a few more. And just, as I said, bring in youth players. Maybe he's going to, you know, we've seen Eriksen as a false 9. We've seen Eriksen as a DM in 2 games. He is still working out what the hell he wants to do tactically. I'm not going to blame him too early for that. But the issues are deep-rooted at United.
Yeah, I mean, just before we wrap it up now, I do think that this whole clear-out should have probably happened at the start of the summer. You know, it'd be a very suicidal move to get rid of 5 or 6 now, you know, when you're probably not going to bring 5 or 6 in. It sometimes works for clubs, but I don't really see that happening. And I think that could be a bit more of a trouble in the long run. You know, I think now they're going to have to start phasing players out, but they've got to do it now. Because if they lose...
They've got to get rid of, maybe not 5, 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose... Exactly. And if they lose to Liverpool on Monday, that's 3 games they've lost. They can't afford to lose another 5, you know, otherwise they could be out of the top 4 race altogether. So it could be completely up to that. But I was just going to say one literal final point just before the end. I think your point about the United-Liverpool game is true. Although on paper you're still going to say Liverpool will absolutely batter them. Liverpool have had a rocky start. They've lost Nunez. They're not on the ropes, but there's a little bit of confidence gone from Liverpool already. This is the biggest opportunity United will ever have this season, in my opinion, to turn the whole narrative. Let's just assume for a minute they somehow beat Liverpool. They go above Liverpool. And the whole narrative will suddenly, I promise you now, you'll see it on social, you see it everywhere. You will see it. If somehow United can get a win, the whole narrative will be completely different. The cloud will be temporarily lifted. So they need to seriously go all out to try and beat Liverpool. And it will make such a big statement if they can. Or at least put in a good performance.
Yeah, fight and don't get battered. Yeah. But yeah, that sort of wraps us up for this episode. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you got any ideas how United can save themselves and turn this around. We're certainly lacking. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.